We are not gathered here by accident, and we are not standing at an ordinary moment in time. We are standing at the edge of a divine threshold, a moment when heaven leans toward earth and God announces a shift that cannot be reversed. January 01, 2025 is not simply a date on a calendar. It is a prophetic marker, a line drawn by God himself that says, from here, things will be different. God spoke, and when God speaks, systems move. When God speaks, cycles close. When God speaks, what resisted you for years suddenly loses its authority. The Spirit of the Lord declares that this season will be soft, deep, and life-changing. And every one of those words carries weight, intention, and divine strategy. The Lord says this year will be soft. Now let me be clear. Soft does not mean weak. Soft does not mean passive. Soft does not mean unprotected. Soft in the language of God means precise, intentional, and controlled. It is the same softness that bends iron without breaking it. It is the softness of a surgeon's hands performing life-saving work. It is the gentleness of God that carries authority without violence. Some of you have come through years that were hard. Hard seasons forged you. Hard moments shaped you. Hard resistance strengthened you. You fought battles you never expected to fight, endured pressure you never planned for, and carried responsibilities that stretched you beyond comfort. But God says, I did not bring you this far to crush you. I brought you this far to prepare you. This is the year where the intensity of resistance decreases, not because the enemy disappeared, but because you matured. Heaven is adjusting the atmosphere around you because you are no longer who you used to be. What once required struggle will now respond to alignment. What once demanded force will now yield to wisdom. God says, I am softening the way forward. Doors will open without trauma. Provision will come without panic. Connections will form without manipulation. This is the year where God removes unnecessary friction. You will not have to prove yourself the way you used to. You will not have to fight for recognition the way you once did. God is saying, I will defend what I have established. But hear this clearly. Soft seasons come after strong foundations are laid. God does not give gentleness to people who are undisciplined. He gives softness to those who have learned obedience, endurance, and faithfulness under pressure. Now the Spirit of the Lord says this year will also be deep. Depth is where God hides his best work. Depth is where roots are strengthened. Depth is where identity becomes unshakable. Shallow faith collapses under pressure, but deep faith stands when circumstances try to intimidate it. God is calling his people out of surface level living, out of emotional reactions, out of shallow thinking, out of borrowed convictions. This is the year God is saying, go deeper, or you will not be able to carry what I am releasing. Depth requires discipline. Depth requires stillness. Depth requires listening more than speaking. In 2025, God is shifting you from noise to knowing, from reaction to revelation, from information to understanding. This is the year where God sharpens your discernment, so you no longer confuse opportunity with assignment. God says, I am deepening your roots so storms do not move you. Depth also means emotional maturity. What once triggered you will no longer control you. What once offended you will no longer distract you. What once confused you will now make sense. This is not because people changed, but because you did. And then God says this year will be life-changing. Life-changing seasons are rarely loud. They begin quietly. They begin internally. They begin with decisions no one applauds and disciplines no one sees. But when the change is complete, nothing looks the same again. This is not the year of temporary inspiration. It is the year of permanent transformation. God is changing how you think, how you respond, how you choose, how you lead. He says, I am shifting your mindset from survival to stewardship. You will no longer merely get through life. You will govern it. You will no longer chase blessings. You will manage increase. You will no longer ask if you are capable. You will move with confidence rooted in divine identity. January 01, 2025 is God's declaration that you are ready for what once would have overwhelmed you. This is not coincidence. This is not optimism. This is alignment. And when alignment happens, acceleration follows. When God announces a soft season, it is not an invitation to relax your discipline. It is a signal that precision now matters more than pressure. Many of you were trained in warfare seasons. You learned how to fight. You learned how to endure. You learned how to stand when nothing moved in your favor. But now the Lord says, I am transitioning you from survival mode into strategic mode. Soft seasons require wisdom because comfort can tempt complacency. God is not softening the season so you can drift. He is softening it so you can focus. The enemy thrives in chaos, but God builds in clarity. This year, God is removing confusion, mental noise, and emotional clutter so you can see clearly what he is doing. The Spirit of the Lord says, I am quieting your environment so you can hear me again. Some of you have been so busy fighting fires that you forgot how to listen. So busy responding that you stopped discerning. But 2025 is a year where hearing God accurately will be more valuable than moving fast. This is the year where speed without direction will cost people opportunities, but obedience with patience will produce results that last. God is also deepening your thinking. Depth begins in the mind. Transformation does not start with circumstances, it starts with perspective. Many believers pray for change but resist growth. They want new outcomes while maintaining old mindsets. But God says, I am not changing your environment until I upgrade your thinking. In 2025, shallow thinking will no longer sustain deep assignments. God is teaching his people to think strategically instead of emotionally, long term instead of temporary, purposefully instead of impulsively. This is the year where you stop asking, how do I escape this? And start asking, what is this preparing me for? Depth also brings emotional regulation. Some of you have been spiritually powerful but emotionally unstable, anointed but reactive, gifted but easily offended. But God says, I am healing emotional fractures that sabotage spiritual authority. You will notice that your reactions are changing. Your tone is changing. Your patience is increasing. Your responses are becoming measured. This is not weakness. This is maturity. Life-changing seasons require emotional intelligence because God cannot entrust influence to people who cannot control themselves. This year, God is strengthening your inner world so your outer world can expand without collapsing. The Lord also says this is the year of divine repositioning. Repositioning does not always look like movement. It often looks like waiting. It looks like being quiet when you want to explain. It looks like trusting when you want to interfere. It looks like restraint when you want revenge. God says, if you move before I move you, you will forfeit the advantage. In 2025, God is placing people in rooms they prayed for years ago. But only those who learned humility in hidden seasons will remain there. This is a year where God will quietly remove you from places that no longer fit who you are becoming. Some relationships will fade without conflict. Some doors will close without drama. Some opportunities will disappear without explanation. Do not panic. Do not chase. Do not force. God says, I am curating your environment. Life-changing seasons involve subtraction as much as addition. God removes distractions before releasing promotion. He clears space before releasing increase. This is also the year where discipline becomes attractive. Prayer will no longer feel like a duty. It will feel like alignment. Excellence will no longer feel heavy. It will feel natural. Integrity will no longer feel costly. It will feel necessary. God says, I am rewriting your desires. What once satisfied you will no longer fulfill you. What once excited you will now feel empty. This is not loss, it is growth. You are outgrowing old appetites because God is preparing you for new dimensions. This year will change how you define success. You will value peace over applause, consistency over attention, impact over image, because depth shifts priorities. And when priorities shift, destiny accelerates. There are seasons when God moves loudly, and there are seasons when God moves intentionally. January 1, 2025 marks the beginning of a season where God's hand is not heavy, but it is exact. This is not a year of chaos or confusion. It is a year of alignment and positioning. And alignment always precedes acceleration. God says, I am not rushing you. I am arranging you. Many people confuse delay with denial, but delay is often evidence that God is protecting the outcome. You are not late. You are not overlooked. You are not behind. You are being placed precisely where you must be in order to sustain what is coming. Soft seasons demand patience because patience preserves what haste destroys. In previous years, pressure pushed you forward. In this year, wisdom will pull you forward. God is teaching you how to move without striving, how to advance without anxiety, and how to succeed without sacrificing peace. This year, God is also exposing what is shallow, not to shame you, but to strengthen you. Shallow habits cannot support deep callings. Shallow relationships cannot sustain divine assignments. Shallow faith cannot carry generational responsibility. God says, I am calling you out of surface living. Depth requires intentional choices. It requires you to say no to distractions that once felt harmless. It requires you to slow down long enough to evaluate your motives, your patterns, and your priorities. This is the year where God asks you difficult but necessary questions, not to interrogate you, but to refine you. This year, God is deepening your character. Character is what keeps doors open after favor gets you in. Many people pray for access, but few prepare for responsibility. But God says, I am not just opening doors. I am building the person who can remain inside them. In 2025, shortcuts will backfire, but consistency will reward. Manipulation will fail, but integrity will prevail. Noise will fade, but substance will stand. God is raising a people whose authority comes from alignment, not aggression. From wisdom, not volume. From obedience, not ambition. This is also the year where God heals internal fractures. Some of you carried wounds you never addressed because survival required you to keep moving. But God says, you cannot outrun what needs to be healed. This year, He is not dragging pain to the surface. He is dissolving it at the root. He says, I am doing heart work without public exposure. Quiet healing is still real healing. Silent restoration is still restoration. Invisible progress is still progress. This is the year where peace replaces panic and clarity replaces confusion. You will not feel the need to explain yourself to people who misunderstand you. You will not feel the urge to defend every decision. You will trust God enough to let results speak. Life-changing seasons often require stillness. God is teaching you how to pause without fear, how to rest without guilt, how to wait without anxiety. Because when you learn to rest in God, you stop forcing outcomes that are meant to unfold naturally. God says, I am repositioning you for longevity, not urgency. This is the year where endurance becomes your advantage. You are not sprinting, you are building stamina. You are not rushing, you are rooting. And deeply rooted people cannot be easily shaken. Depth also sharpens discernment. You will begin to recognize motives before words are spoken. You will sense misalignment without needing evidence. You will see through opportunities that look good but are not God. This is not suspicion. It is spiritual intelligence. God says, I am refining your perception. Life-changing years come with elevated awareness. You will see patterns you missed before. You will understand lessons you once resisted. You will connect dots that once confused you. This is growth. This is maturity. This is preparation. January 01, 2025 is not the moment everything explodes. It is the moment everything stabilizes. And stability is the foundation of sustainable success. Every life-changing season carries a demand for responsibility. God does not shift atmospheres casually, and he does not elevate people carelessly. When God says a season will be soft, deep, and life-changing, he is also saying, I am entrusting you with something weighty. January 01, 2025 is not about excitement. It is about stewardship. Many people pray for increase but underestimate the discipline required to maintain it. But God says, I am not releasing blessings you cannot manage. This year, God is teaching his people how to hold what they once only hoped for. This is the year where maturity becomes more valuable than momentum. Momentum can carry you for a moment, but maturity sustains you for a lifetime. God is not impressed by speed. He is impressed by consistency. He is not moved by charisma. He is moved by character. And in 2025, character will determine who remains standing when attention fades. The Spirit of the Lord says, I am shifting you from excitement to excellence. Excellence is not perfection, it is intention. It is doing what is required even when no one is watching. It is honoring commitments even when they are inconvenient. It is showing up prepared, focused, and aligned. This year, daily discipline will outperform occasional passion. Prayer will become a lifestyle, not an event. Preparation will become a habit, not a reaction. Integrity will become instinct, not effort. God is also addressing misplaced priorities. Many people lost years because they chased what was loud instead of what was lasting. But God says, I am realigning your focus. This year, you will begin to value peace over popularity, purpose over performance, and depth over display. Life-changing seasons do not always bring more activity. They bring clarity. You will stop doing things that look good but produce nothing. You will release responsibilities that drain you without developing you. You will invest energy only where growth is guaranteed. God says, I am teaching you the power of subtraction. Not every door is a destiny. Not every invitation is an assignment. Not every opportunity is ordained. In 2025, discernment will protect your time, your energy, and your future. This is also the year where God introduces you to quiet authority. Authority does not shout. It stands. It does not argue. It operates. It does not demand attention. It commands respect. This year, your influence will increase without your voice getting louder. People will begin to trust you without explanation. Doors will open without persuasion. Favor will follow without effort. Why? Because authority rooted in alignment does not need validation. God says, I am making you credible in spaces you once only admired. But credibility requires consistency. This is why God is slowing some things down, so you can build strength, structure, and systems that last. Soft seasons can be dangerous for undisciplined people. Comfort can breed carelessness. Ease can weaken focus. But God says, I am sharpening your awareness. This is not the year to drift. This is not the year to relax spiritually. This is not the year to neglect growth. It is the year to refine. God is also dealing with internal resistance. Sometimes the greatest opposition is not external, it is internal. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of responsibility, fear of visibility. But God says, I am dismantling internal barriers. You will no longer sabotage opportunities because of insecurity. You will no longer shrink in rooms God placed you in. You will no longer doubt what God already confirmed. Life-changing seasons require courage. Not reckless courage, but quiet confidence. God is replacing self-doubt with self-awareness, replacing hesitation with clarity, replacing fear with faith anchored in truth. This is the year where God trains you to lead yourself before leading others. Leadership begins internally. If you can manage your emotions, your time, and your mindset, you are prepared for influence. And God says, I am preparing you for greater responsibility. January 2025 is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of sustainable impact. And what God establishes in this season will not collapse in the next. When God deepens a people, he also sharpens their discernment. Discernment is not suspicion, and it is not fear, it is clarity. It is the ability to perceive what cannot be explained logically. In 2025, discernment will become one of your greatest assets because the assignments God releases in this season will require accuracy, not assumption. God says, I am teaching you to see before you speak, to listen before you move, and to perceive before you decide. This is the year where impulsive decisions will cost people progress, but intentional choices will produce long-term stability. God is not rushing you because rushed people miss details, and details matter in life-changing seasons. This year, God will refine your inner voice. You will begin to trust what God has already placed inside you. You will stop looking for constant confirmation from others. You will recognize when something is misaligned even if it looks impressive. This is not arrogance, it is spiritual maturity. God says, I am strengthening your confidence in my guidance. Many believers fail not because they lack faith, but because they lack clarity. But in this season, clarity will become your compass. You will not move because of pressure. You will move because of peace. This year, peace will become your filter. If it costs your peace, it costs too much. If it disturbs your alignment, it is not worth pursuing. God is also increasing your influence, but not in the way you expect. Influence in 2025 will not be loud. It will be effective. You will not need to announce your authority. People will recognize it by how you move, how you speak, and how you respond under pressure. God says, I am giving you quiet authority. Quiet authority does not argue. Quiet authority does not compete. Quiet authority does not explain itself. It simply functions. This is the year where your presence will speak before your words do. Where people will sense wisdom without you advertising it. Where doors will open because of who you are becoming, not what you are promoting. Life-changing seasons also reveal true alignment. Some people will naturally drift away, not because of conflict, but because of contrast. Growth creates distance from environments that can no longer support you. God says, do not grieve what I am removing. You are not losing people. You are gaining clarity. You are not being rejected. You are being redirected. You are not isolated. You are being positioned. This year, God will also restore self-trust. Many of you lost confidence because of past mistakes. But God says, I am not holding you hostage to yesterday. Wisdom has been built in you through experience. And now God is teaching you how to trust what he has refined. You will stop second-guessing yourself. You will stop apologizing for growth. You will stop shrinking to make others comfortable. Life-changing seasons demand that you honor who you are becoming. This year, God will also elevate your emotional intelligence. You will respond instead of react. You will listen instead of interrupt. You will discern instead of assume. Emotional maturity will protect your destiny. God cannot trust influence to people who are easily offended, easily provoked, or easily distracted. But God says, I am stabilizing your inner world. This is the year where emotional healing becomes visible in how you communicate, how you lead, and how you handle pressure. Depth produces composure. Composure produces credibility. Credibility produces opportunity. God is also sharpening your focus. Distractions that once felt harmless will now feel heavy. God is removing your appetite for things that do not align with your assignment. You will no longer waste energy on things that do not produce fruit. This is the year where focus becomes freedom. When your attention is aligned, your energy multiplies. When your focus is clear, your movement becomes powerful. God says, I am training you to protect your attention. Because whatever has your attention will influence your direction. January 2025 is shaping you into someone who moves with intention, wisdom, and authority. This is not just a new year. This is a new way of being.